26 degrees here in the Queen City with the wind. It feels like 16 moments away from the opening kick. Let's bring in the third member of our crew down to the field in Evan Washburn.
Iron weather storyline across the NFL. Cincinnati is no different. Heavy rains last night forced this field to be tarp, so the grounds crew working hard. This field is not heated, so they wanted to avoid, once the freezing temperatures set in, for this turf to be frozen. It's just a bit damp at the moment, but temperatures mean shirts are optional for everybody during warm-ups. Ryan Shazier choosing to make a statement. I asked him why. He said exactly that. It's not that bad. I want to let him know. Back up to you guys in that cozy booth, Ian.
Yeah, Evan, sorry, you could come up and use the heater anytime you want. Shazier actually went to Ohio State, but he's originally from Florida, so you've got a blend of philosophies when it comes to the winter.
Yeah, I think he needs to be in some type of protocol. I'm not sure, but that's just not right.
Pittsburgh has won the toss. They have deferred to the second half, so the Steelers kick it off with Boswell. Deep man is Erickson. He catches it, but he takes a knee, and the Bengals will have it at the 25-yard line to open things up. Andy Dalton, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns last week in the victory over the Cleveland Browns. Remember, he did suffer a season-ending broken thumb when he played Pittsburgh last December.
Yeah, trying to make a tackle off an interception. He should know better than not let the big guys tackle those guys, but he wore a glove last week, and it appears he's got another one on this week because he wants his hands to have that tacky feeling and not dry out in this cold weather.
It was a decision that he made in pregame last week. He said that would be the same mindset for this one. It's a give going up the middle for Jeremy Hill, and he picks up a couple of yards on first down to set up 2nd and 8. Starting offense for Cincinnati, it's Jake Fisher getting the nod at tackle. Obuehi was there for most of the season. Winston got a shot there, and now Fisher an opportunity. Jeremy Hill last week had 111 yards on the ground and a touchdown in the 23-10 win in Cleveland. They led that game 20-0 at halftime. 2nd and 8 for Cincinnati. Dalton making sure everybody's on the same page. Hill the single setback. LaFell the motion man. Give it to Hill again. Plowing ahead. He gets stood up. Forward progress will get him a gain of 1. That's it for Cincinnati. Defensively for the Steelers, Javon Hargrave was dealing with a concussion. Missed the game last week. He's back in there this week. Linebackers, James Harrison. He is the ageless wonder at 38 years old, that menacing look that he brings to the field every week. And Artie Burns has solidified himself as one of the starting corners. Also, Sean Davis, young safety. They've relied on the 2 rookies, Burns out of Miami, Davis out of Maryland. It's a 3rd and 7. Rex Burkhead steps in. Giovanni Bernard out for the season. Dalton under a heavy rush. Dalton is brought down. A flag thrown. Tuitt got to Dalton. Penalty marker on the play at the 19.
Yeah, Dalton goes down because Tuitt grabbed his face mask.
Defense number 91. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
William Gay's coming on the blitz from his safety spot, number 22. But watch the left hand here, right hand rather, reaching all the way across and getting Dalton right across the face mask.
So this Cincinnati drive continues, and they spot the football just across the 40-yard line.
Dalton lucky that one of those long fingers of Tuitt didn't get him in the eye.
Stephon Tuitt, he's been playing his best football in his 3-year NFL career, stepping in leadership-wise for the injured Cameron Hayward. Working out of the gun. Dalton has time. Throws over the middle, makes the connection to Brandon LaFell. LaFell has enough for the first down, and Cincinnati is in Pittsburgh territory after the 11-yard hookup.
And when you talk to the Bengals offensive staff, especially offensive coordinator Ken Zampese about LaFell, he says he wishes he had more guys that are as tough and reliable as LaFell.
LaFell won a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. Signed a 1-year, $2.5 million deal here with Cincinnati. On a give, Hill with a cut. Jeremy Hill picks up 4. Mike Mitchell in on the stop for Pittsburgh.
Well, what Hill does is he makes Shazier miss. Watch number 50 come in there. And just it ran right through that arm tackle.
Steelers interaction number 4 against the run, allowing 90 yards per game. Cincinnati's top 10 in total offense. Their issues have been in the red zone, 23rd overall in scoring when they've had opportunities. Hill, straight line run, just shy of the 35-yard line, 7 yards. Sean Davis will get credit for the stop for Pittsburgh.
And you go back to that penalty on Stephon Tuitt, as he's on the sideline getting treated. But that penalty seemed to have given the Bengals a jump start, and now they're in all the way to the 35 of Pittsburgh.
6th play of the drive. Looked like Cincinnati was going to go 3 and out to open up. Dalton trying to get out of the pocket, tosses it away. Pressure coming from Shazier. 2nd and 10 for Cincinnati.
And Dalton just escapes not only Shazier, but the tackle box as well, as he was just outside the tackle box when he let this one fly out of bounds.
Andy Dalton, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions in his last 3 games. He's now gone 128 straight passes without a pick. Hill has been effective, 4 carries, 14 yards. Play fake, Dalton makes the connection to LaFell inside the 20. Andy Dalton, a strike, working against the rookie Artie Burns for 17 yards.
The timing was impeccable on this play. Watches LaFell on the hook route in front of Burns, the ball halfway to him when he turns around.
And this could be Tyler Eifert territory as well. On a give to Hill. Slowed down on the play by Mitchell. A gain of 1 as we hit the 11-minute mark of this first quarter. Line of scrimmage is now the 16. Red zone defense, Pittsburgh 2nd in the NFL. Cincinnati's offense down at 19th in the league. Marvin Lewis, he has seen a lot of these Steeler-Bengal matchups through the years on both sides. Former linebacker coach with the Pittsburgh Steelers early in his NFL coaching career. 9th play of the drive. Dalton operating out of the gun. First possession of the day. Dalton throws on the outside. It's Hill. Works that sideline, and he's right at the marker. Shazier with the shove. He's going to be just short. They mark him out. Hill banged up on the play and is heading to the Cincinnati sideline area.
Well, the Steelers were so concerned with Tyler Eifert that they forgot about Hill in the short flat route here. As you can see, nobody from Pittsburgh in the picture here. And there's the hit by Shazier that has sent Hill to the sideline.
They bring Hewitt in. Tuitt goes to the Pittsburgh locker room. 3rd and 1. Burkhead in the backfield. Bengals trying to strike first. Give it to Burkhead. Burkhead has enough for the first down. Rex Burkhead has the respect of his teammates, just had not seen a whole lot of opportunities because of the 1-2 punch of Hill and Bernard. Bernard goes down for the season, and Burkhead is getting his chances.
And Jeremy Hill returns to the lineup.
Mike Tomlin's squad on its heels here. First possession of the day. 1st and goal for Cincinnati. Line of scrimmage is the 7th. 11th play of the drive. Give it to Hill. Stutter step, runs into a crowd. And he's brought down at the 5-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal for the Bengals. 2-yard gain for Hill.
And the Steelers have done such a great job in the red zone defensively. Very active, speedy linebackers. And really the addition and the development of Artie Burns and Sean Davis, a couple of rookies, has really helped in this 4-game winning streak.
Bengals go 2 tight ends. Time-consuming opening drive here for Cincinnati. 2nd and goal for the Bengals. Hill has been prolific getting into the end zone in his career. Hill trying to slam it in there, and the Steelers were ready. He runs into a wall, give him a gain of 1.5 yards on the inside. At the bottom of that pile, Daniel McCullers for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, McCullers 93 and Timmons alongside as an inside linebacker. But you can see there's 5 or 6 Steelers just waiting for that straight-ahead blast play from Hill.
So now it's 3rd and goal. Cincinnati signed a new kicker. Randy Bullock replaces Mike Nugent, who was released. 13th play of the drive. It's taken 7 minutes. Burkhead in the backfield. Motion man LaFell. Dalton out of the gun. Dalton steps, throws, back in the end zone. Off the hands of Eifert. Incomplete. And here comes the field goal unit for Cincinnati.
Well, Eifert had 2 touchdown catches last week against Cleveland. But watch the play by Cockrell coming over here to knock that ball loose. Dalton throws it up high for the 6'6" Eifert. He just couldn't get his hands together because of the coverage of Mitchell and Cockrell.
So Randy Bullock on, 23-yard attempt after the veteran Mike Nugent was let go earlier this week. Nugent spent 6 years with Cincinnati. Bullock has bounced around Houston, the Jets, the Giants, and Pittsburgh. And the fans react to a 23-yard field goal. They like the new guy. 14 plays, 70 yards to start it up. Randy Bullock's 23-yard field goal caps off a 14-play, 70-yard drive for the Cincinnati Bengals. It took 7 minutes and 21 seconds, and Cincinnati's got a 3-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh 1 game ahead of Baltimore in the AFC North. If they win out, they're division champions. Sammy Coates and Fitzgerald Toussaint are the deep men for Pittsburgh. Bullock will kick it off for Cincinnati. Steelers have won 6 of their last 7 games here at Paul Brown Stadium. This is return of it. Coates fakes out one man. Coates still going. Sammy Coates gets to the outside, and he's out of bounds, angled out by Bullock. That looked like it was going to be a short return. Coates turned it into 44 yards. Steelers' first offensive possession when we return.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Cricket Wireless. Something to smile about. And by Crest. Healthy, beautiful smiles for life.
Scuba Santa over at the Water Wonderland just down the road in Newport, Kentucky. 'Tis the holiday season with Cincinnati in front 3-0 over Pittsburgh. The Steelers open up at their own 45-yard line after the long return by Coates. Take the handoff. Roethlisberger dumps it off to Le'Veon Bell. Tremendous receiver. Dances to the 45-yard line. That's good enough for a first down. Vincent Ray in on the stop for Cincinnati. Ben Roethlisberger last week, one of the worst statistical games of Ben's career, yet it was still a victory over Buffalo.
Yeah, he said, told us yesterday, it's comforting to know that the Steelers can win a game if he has a bad day. His 3 picks were more than offset by Le'Veon Bell's performance.
His numbers aren't great on the road this year. 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He is 3 touchdowns away from 300 for his career, now in his 13th year with the Steelers. They spread it out. Roethlisberger to the outside. Catch is made by Ladarius Green. Green has been a nice addition after the injury kept him out of action for most of the year. Dansby with the tackle, 6-yard gain. Starting offense, Ramon Foster is back. This is an underrated offensive line considering the way that they have protected Roethlisberger. Foster missed last week's game with a chest injury. Sammy Coates, Big Ben was very direct when we asked him about Coates. He said, I had a conversation with him a couple of weeks ago and told him, hey, we need you. We need you to step forward to get more involved in the offense. Coates has dealt with broken fingers. He busted up his left hand earlier in the season. Roethlisberger on time. Antonio Brown. And that's a first down. Just short of the 25. 13 yards on the pass play. Iloka with a tackle. Perfect involved for Cincinnati. We'll keep an eye on him throughout the afternoon. He's been Cincinnati's best defensive player. So while there's a lot of conversation about what happens to Perfect in the extracurricular department, Vontez is outstanding for Marvin Lewis's defense. Extra offensive lineman Chris Hubbard is in for Pittsburgh.
And he did have a little conversation there with Antonio Brown.
Now we know what happened in the wild card game when Brown got knocked out by Burfict. Roethlisberger on a give. Le'Veon Bell stood up at the 25-yard line. Forward progress, a gain of 1. Burfict throwing his body around. Le'Veon Bell got injured against Cincinnati when he took a shot to the knee and was done for the season last year. Geno Atkins, AFC Defensive Player of the Week after his 2-sack performance last week in Cleveland. Vontaze Burfict leads the Bengals in tackles this season despite missing the first 3 games because of suspension. And Adam Jones had an interception in the first meeting between these two teams. He and Roethlisberger play a chess match, and Paul Gunther's involved in that chess match against the Steelers offense. Bell is brought down behind the line of scrimmage. He rushed for the most yards in Steelers history last week. That's a loss of 2 on the play. Margus Hunt all over it for Cincinnati.
Well, Burfict's going to come in from this side as well. And you're going to see as Bell tries to find a way around it. Actually, from the other side, he takes out the legs of the fullback there. Actually, it's Castro. So tremendous play there by Burfict to upset to Castro and then Bell.
Le'Veon Bell, 236 yards on the ground last week, topping Willie Parker's Steeler record. Through the hands of Ladarius Green, and it's incomplete. Roethlisberger and Green have been working on that communication. We asked Mike Tomlin about Green. He said it is sloping up with his contributions to the offense.
And look who's right there, Ian. It's number 55, Burfict, playing the run. And this time, if Green makes that catch, he's not going to be able to get the first down.
Chris Boswell returned from an abdominal injury. He missed week 13. This is a 45-yard attempt for Boswell, and he knocks it through to tie the game up at 3-3. 3:42 remaining in the first. Steelers and Bengals. Tomorrow on CBS, an Oprah Winfrey special event. The last interview and final farewell with First Lady Michelle Obama from inside the White House. Oprah and the First Lady tomorrow at 8, 7 Central, only CBS. Chris Boswell will kick it off after the 45-yard field goal. 7 plays, 28 yards. It took 3 minutes and 57 seconds. And we're knotted up at 3 apiece.
Yeah, that great kickoff return by Sammy Coates really gave the Steelers ideal starting position for that drive.
Alex Erickson is the return man, averaging 27.5 yards per return with a long of 84. Will he get an opportunity here? Yeah, he will. On a bounce. Erickson lost it for a moment. Regathers. Erickson across the 35. Nicely done by Erickson. 31-yard return. Bengals will have the football when we come back with more first quarter action.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Garmin Fitness. Let's beat yesterday. And by Verizon. It's always a great gift on Verizon.
Do you think our camera operators like it when the camera's actually turned on them? Are you getting that sense, Dan?
There's some questionable characters in that group.
Including John Bruno. He might have to go through the protocol of some sort.
And he lives in San Diego.
It makes no sense.
He may not have long pants.
He just may not own them. First down for Cincinnati. No Stephon Tuitt. Evan Washburn will have more on that in a moment. Defensively for Pittsburgh. Line of scrimmage is the 36 to open up this drive. Play clock down to 3. Dalton on a give for Hill. Bangs his way. Deals with the contact and turns it into a first down. James Harrison on the chase down. That's 13 yards for Jeremy Hill.
Brandon LaFell has 2 catches already on the day. But watch his lead block here for Jeremy Hill. This is what Hill needs to get to the second level. He takes Gay right to the ground.
Out near midfield, it's Hill again. And he's dropped in Pittsburgh territory at the 46. That's a 6-yard gain. Time for an NFL Today update. JB, Tony Gonzalez in New York.
All right, KC out fast.
Yeah, fast off a 44-yard pass to Jeremy Maclin. Alex Smith takes this all the way in for the touchdown on the QB scrambler. 14-0. KC's up early.
Ian, Dan, and Evan.
JB, they're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. Kansas City, what we've seen last year spilling over into this season, they're one of the best teams in football. Pass was intended for Cody Core, too high from Dalton.
Yeah, Dalton, after he threw the ball, looked at his hand with that glove on it and obviously did not have a good grip on the ball. That one sailed over the Core's head by about 3-4 feet.
You never wore a glove over the course of your career.
Well, back in the old days with leather helmets and everything, they didn't have gloves that were good enough to throw the pigskin with.
Maybe an isotoner, that might have been a nice option.
Yeah, no Marino guess.
Dalton, low throw is handled. Once again, it's LaFell, and he's brought down by Artie Burns, good enough to move the chains, and a first down for Cincinnati.
Yeah, really a tough catch, though, too, for LaFell. Ball thrown low. He had to go down with Burns coming over the top.
We come up on 2 minutes to play in this competitive first quarter, tied at 3. Dalton, play fake, clean pocket. Dalton sets up, fires the deep ball, downfield, jump ball, almost intercepted, and a flag down. Intended receiver LaFell. It was Mike Mitchell who got his hands on it. Penalty marker is in the end zone.
Yeah, Artie Burns is going to get called for pass interference, so this ball will be placed on the 1-yard line. Even if Mitchell makes the catch for the interception, it would not count.
Pass interference. Defense number 25. The foul's here in the end zone. The ball is placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
LaFell gets behind Burns. Dalton doesn't see him right away, but the ball is underthrown. LaFell comes back for it. There's the contact, and you'll see the flag come in shortly as well. 39-yard penalty, and the Bengals are in business at the 1.
Young guys in the secondary. Burns, first-round draft pick, 25th overall. Sean Davis, second-round pick. And it's first and goal for Cincinnati. Extra offensive line. Handed off. Hill straight ahead. Oh, runs into a brick wall made of black and gold. It's Timmons. Lawrence Timmons laying the wood.
Well, Timmons is going to meet Hill right at the line of scrimmage, and watch Hill. He goes backwards. His feet cross the plane, but the ball never did because of this textbook tackle by Timmons.
2 big penalties in this first quarter defensively for Pittsburgh has put Cincinnati to put more points on the board. Second and goal, trying to push the pile. Second effort from Hill. Waiting for the indication. Bengals thought they had a touchdown. And the Steelers stopped them.
Well, again, it's Timmons and James Harrison. Harrison hits the hole first, and then Timmons comes in and cleans it up. Down low is McCullers. And watch number 94 right there, along with McCullers. And Vince Williams playing an inside linebacker spot.
Third and goal to Hill. Going up top. Hill stopped again by Pittsburgh. The Steelers hold up defensively.
Boy, it appeared that Hill going high might have broke the plane. Check out where the ball is. Well, that is real close, but I got to believe that he did break the plane here with the ball before he's hit by Vince Williams.
Williams, Shazier, Tomlin reacts. They spot the football inside the 1, and they're going for it on 4th down. Dalton. And a flag down. Or a red flag for a challenge.
Marvin Lewis finally got it out of his pocket and tossed it down to the 15-yard line, where he got the attention of the side judge.
Cincinnati is challenging the ruling on the field as the ball broke the plane. We'll review the play. Timeout.
So they'll take a look. Only 4 seconds remain in the first. This is what they'll be looking at. Did Hill get in and break the plane? for Cincinnati.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. It'll be 4th down at the half-yard line.
They took a look, determined that Hill did not break the plane as he went airborne. So the Bengals are denied. This will be their 4th try from the 1. They're going for it on 4th and goal with 4 seconds left in the first. Dalton, quarterback, keeper. Dalton takes it in for the touchdown. 4 tries, and finally Cincinnati cashes in.
He's going right off the block of Kevin Zeitler, the right guard. And he's going to get help from the fullback Ryan Hewitt there with a little push, if you will. Dalton in the end zone easily, but he did have some help from behind. Right there is the push from Hewitt that guarantees the touchdown.
For Andy Dalton, his 5th rushing touchdown of the season, 18th of his career. And the extra point from Randy Bullock. Point afters have been an issue for the Cincinnati Bengals with Mike Nugent. And Bullock gets it through. Not by a whole lot. 8 plays, 64 yards. And this is how the first quarter ends, with Cincinnati in front 10-3 on Pittsburgh. Andy Dalton does the dirty work with the touchdown on the quarterback sneak. And the Cincinnati Bengals have the lead over Pittsburgh. 8 plays, 64 yards. It took 3 minutes and 42 seconds for Cincinnati. There was a pass interference call against Artie Burns that helped set the Bengals up for the 1st and goal. Randy Bullock will kick it off. Ball is off the tee. Wind around 10 miles per hour. Cincinnati has to win every game they play, and then they need a whole lot of help. They need the Steelers to lose out. They need the Ravens to stumble. We start the second quarter on the kick by Bullock. Toussaint takes a knee, and Steelers will have it at the 25-yard line. On Tuesday, Bengal players hosted a holiday shopping event for children from the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Cincinnati. Each child was given a gift card and paired with a player who helped them shop for gifts for their families or items that they needed themselves. Some good cheer in the community here in the Greater Cincinnati area. Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers offense come in ranked number 7 in the NFL. They're 12th in scoring. This is a team that thought they could average 30 points per game this season, something that Todd Haley talked about early in the year. They're averaging 24.4. Roosevelt nixes in. Extra protector. Roethlisberger pump fake and throw over the middle and makes the connection across the 35 as he hooks up to David Johnson, the veteran. Let's check in with Evan Washburn.
Lions, Stephon Tuitt suffered a right knee injury the first defensive series of this game. He went to the locker room, came back out. He's listed as questionable from the team. He did not take part in that previous defensive series. He does not have his helmet. He does not look like a guy who's returning to this game.
And he was very much looking forward to this matchup. Said it's a big rivalry game. Team needed the same intensity that they brought each of the last 4 weeks. Trickery, nothing working. Roethlisberger just tosses it into the ground. Le'Veon Bell in the area.
Well, Bell was the intended receiver after the fake to the on the reverse to Sammy Coates. But watch what happens to Bell right in the middle of your screen. He's going to get tackled right here and thrown down. Heads up play by the veteran Pat Sims as he read that screen and wiped it out.
And so far, Le'Veon Bell, 2 carries, -1 yards. 2nd and 10 for Pittsburgh. Bell gets an opportunity here. The patience of Bell and the Bengals over there to greet him. 5-yard pickup. Vontez Burfict standing over Bell. We asked Bell about the whole dynamic with Burfict, and he told us, hey, look, I have some close friends that are on the Cincinnati Bengals. Carlos Dunlap being one of them, Darquez Denard another. They've assured me that it's nothing personal, but he has been injured twice against this Cincinnati squad.
Well, injuries are sometimes bad luck, and then sometimes it's just like, what? Are you kidding me? And that injury last year when Burfict tackled him out of bounds, you could tell it was serious from the get-go.
It ended Bell's season. From the gun, 3rd and 5, Roethlisberger. Waiting for someone to get open. Ball pops loose, and it's incomplete. Off the ricochet, Michael Johnson had a chance at the pick. He dropped a potential INT last week in Cleveland.
Yeah, he has 3 career interceptions, and he's kicking himself right now because he might have been able to run a little bit with this one. You can see Green working over the middle here. Ball intended for Eli Rogers, and a big hit there. And then the unreliable hands of a defensive lineman.
You think there's some intensity on that Cincinnati sideline? Vontez Burfict, they're feeding off of his energy. Adam Jones was right there after the play. The punt from Jordan Berry. This one will roll towards Erickson. He won't touch it, and it rolls out of bounds as it curled inside the 20-yard line. They'll mark it down at the 18. 40-yard punt. Cincinnati's got the football and the lead in the second quarter. NFL on CBS is now on CBS All Access. Stream your local games live. Go to cbs.com/NFL now to try it for free. Don't try those moves at home. As the Bengals take over, short of their own 20-yard line, but a 10-3 lead. Jeremy Hill, 12 carries, 36 yards with a long of 12. Hill knifes across the 20-yard line and picks up 4. Ricardo Matthews with the tackle for Pittsburgh. Well, Cincinnati, last couple of games, we've seen this offense come around. 27.5 points per game averaged over the last 2. Limiting the turnovers as well. We told you about Andy Dalton's streak of not throwing any picks. He's now up to 133 straight passes without an interception. Dalton to spin. Dalton gets out of trouble, throws, it's complete. Brandon LaFell along the sideline for a first down. Andy Dalton keeping the play alive.
That's his 2 big plays that Dalton has made. First was that long pass that the penalty came on it. Artie Burns. Watch this move, though, as he spins away from Hargrave and then finds the reliable LaFell for his 4th catch of the day. Pocket collapses and Hargrave misses. Dalton makes a pay.
Dalton out of the pocket again. Looks downfield and now doesn't take any chances. He throws it away. A.J. Green is out with a hamstring injury he suffered on November 20th against Buffalo. They expect Green to play before the end of the season. He's 36 yards away from 1,000, which would be his 6th straight 1,000-yard season to open up his career, trying to stay warm on the sideline.
Yeah, and he was warming up before the game in sweat clothes and testing that hamstring. Bitter cold today. Probably not a good idea to have him out there if it's not totally healed.
So the youngsters get their chances with Cody Core and Tyler Boyd. Dalton, the outside, trying to set it up for Core. Cody Core has enough for a first down. That's 10 yards. Mike Mitchell, the veteran, with a stop. Down to Evan Washburn.
Well, Dan, I saw that same warm-up of A.J. Green, and I thought he looked good to go, so I asked him during warm-ups, why couldn't you play today? He said, I just need 1 more week. He told me he's playing next week, guys.
Well, next week they will be at Houston. That's Christmas Eve. And then week 17 home for Baltimore. Quick hit into the outside. It's Core again. 2 defenders over there to limit Core to a 3-yard pickup. William Gay and Artie Burns for Pittsburgh.
Well, A.J. Green is 6'4", and Core is the second tallest receiver as a wide receiver at 6'3". And back-to-back plays, he carries 210 pounds, so he's got a little bit of power trying to break tackles on the perimeter.
Rookie out of Mississippi, drafted in the 6th round by Cincinnati. Second and 7 now. Fake it. Dalton steps up. Hooks a pass to the sideline. Hauled in by LaFell. Brandon LaFell has been a difference maker in this first half. 25 yards on the connection.
7-year veteran knows exactly where he is on the field. Watch the footwork. Left foot, right foot, good. Right over the top of Cockrell. And right on target. Dalton's hot.
Line of scrimmage is now the 31. Dalton is 8 of 12 for 89 yards.
He's had 2 throwaways.
Rex Burkhead flanks Dalton. Fake it and throw it to Burkhead in stride. It's clicking right now for Cincinnati. Burkhead tackled inside the 15 by Lawrence Timmons. That one covers 18 yards.
Yeah, Burkhead, who a lot of the players say remind them of Giovanni Bernard. This is the type of play that Bernard has been so effective at, coming out of the backfield in the positive end of the field.
First down for Cincinnati. Toss it to LaFell. Makes one man miss. And he's spun towards the sideline inside the 5. It was Cockrell who got spun around. Bud Dupree was the second man.
Well, watch the move here on Cockrell. Breaks the arm tackle. And then Dupree has a little bit of trouble to getting him out of bounds after he gets another 3 yards.
Ben Roethlisberger in spectator mode right now. His team is down 10-3. Cincinnati can add to its lead. Burkhead in the backfield. Give it to him. Burkhead contact at the line of scrimmage for no gain. Sean Davis came firing through for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Sean Davis has really taken advantage of the experience of his defensive back coach, Carnell Lake. Lake was a tremendous blitzer in his playing days for the Steelers. And he feels that Davis is getting the feel for the timing as he did that time, getting into the backfield to bring down Burkhead.
Keith Butler running this defense in his second year, coordinating it. They've improved as the season has gone on. 10th play of the drive for Cincinnati. Handed off to Hill. Jeremy Hill busting through for the touchdown. Another long drive for the Bengals. He doesn't like the terrible towel, but he likes to score.
That's his 9th rushing touchdown of the season, and it's a power blast play. Hewitt coming in here, leading the way on Shazier. Timmons can't get over in time because of the block there by Zeitler. Tremendous effort this time by the Bengals, who had a lot of trouble. Last time they were inside the 1-yard line, getting stuffed 3 straight plays. Not that time.
That is now 20 rushing touchdowns since the start of last season. Second in the NFL in that category over that span. The extra point is perfect for Bullock. Cincinnati extends the lead. The Bengals 17, the Steelers 3. We know that Steelers Nation travels well all over the country. A terrible towel made its way onto the field. Hill would have none of it.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Amazon Prime. Get free 2-day shipping on millions of items. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by Verizon, it's always a great gift on Verizon.
Our audio and tape departments, the NFL on CBS, they're like mad scientists back there.
Yeah, I want one of those hats. Did
Yeah,
you get one?
I did not.
Hey, what's the deal?
You got to know people. You would think with your beard that it would be a perfect compliment.
I'm working on it too.
You've been working on it for how many years?
Too many.
17-3 Cincinnati. And the Bengals kick it off with Bullock. Deep man is Toussaint. He'll take it out. Toussaint trying to get to the outside. And he's chopped down short of the 20-yard line on special teams. He could not get around Tyler Croft. 17-3 Cincinnati.
17-3 lead for the Bengals. We showed you the block of Hewitt, and now I want you to watch Zeitler. He comes down on number 93 here, McCullers, and then he's going to pick up Lawrence Timmons, just an outstanding job here by Zeitler, blocking 2 men and allowing Hill to get into the end zone.
It's cold here in Cincinnati. Bengals offense has been hot. Time of possession last week, Steelers dominated Buffalo 38-41 to 17-22. The exact opposite here today. 15-19 for Cincinnati. Just 5 minutes and 46 seconds on offense for Pittsburgh. Give it to Bell. Le'Veon Bell keeps the legs churning and crosses the 25-yard line. Pushing and shoving at the end of the play with Dunlap involved for Cincinnati.
And it's amazing the performance that Bell had last week against Buffalo. The Steeler record. And the big concern is, does he ever get tired?
But Dan, if you're an offensive lineman and you're blocking for someone like that who's so patient, how does that change the way you do your job?
You're always told to stay on your blocks. Well, here you have to stay on your blocks and then some, because he will wait until that hole opens up and then he'll try to squeeze through it.
6 offensive linemen here for Pittsburgh on a 2nd and 3. Fake it. Roethlisberger looks downfield, throws high, incomplete. Tried to get it to Ladarius Green. Dre Kirkpatrick back there defensively for Cincinnati.
Now Green's a big target at 6'6" and runs very well, trying to get him right down the middle of the field. But the job on the top side by Kirkpatrick, watch him go up between the hands of Green to knock it away. Roethlisberger having trouble finding his primary receiver, spending a lot of time looking around for an outlet open receiver that's just not there so far.
2 tight ends in this formation for Pittsburgh. It's a 3rd and 3. Roethlisberger steps up, dials up the deep ball, little separation, and a catch made over the shoulder by Brown. First down into Cincinnati territory. Roethlisberger pushing the ball downfield to his superstar wideout Antonio Brown for 32 yards.
Now look at the speed of Brown as he just blows by the defense here. Gets behind Josh Shaw, and the ball perfectly placed to Antonio Brown. That's a difference maker right there. A momentum building type of play for Pittsburgh.
Leads the NFL in catches this season. 4th straight 1,000-yard season for Antonio Brown. Cincinnati's held him in check, though, the last 3 games. Delay. It's Bell. Le'Veon Bell busts through contact and then pushing and shoving at the end of the play once again with Kirkpatrick. That's 10 yards for Le'Veon Bell. Keeping an eye on Vontaze Burfict throughout the day here for Cincinnati. This was a couple of plays ago from Burfict. Boom. He let Roosevelt Nix know that he was there and then helped him up after the hit. Flag was thrown at the end of the play inside the 30. Very late flag. Bill Vinovich will sort it out. The officials are trying to get in between these two teams.
After the play was over, taunting. Defense number 24. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. That is number 24's first penalty with regards to disqualification.
Well, it's Adam Jones.
And not only was he taunting, he comes with a little bit of a shoulder there.
As Bell was getting up at the end of the play, Jones then had something to say, and that's actually what drew the attention of the officials. The first contact went unnoticed. That's the first penalty against Cincinnati. And it sets up Pittsburgh now with a 1st and 10 at the 16. Roethlisberger from the gun. His team is down 17-3. 5 receivers set. Roethlisberger pump. End zone. Roethlisberger up. And incomplete. Sammy Coates. And a matchup with Adam Jones. Couldn't really tell who the receiver was on that play because they both had a shot at it.
Well, Jones had great position, inside position on Coates. And he comes real close to picking this one off. Coates at 6'1", Jones at 5'10", but the position is absolutely perfect for Adam Jones.
They were holding hands there for a little while.
Well, they're good friends.
I don't believe so.
I don't either. Why would they be holding hands?
2nd and 10 with 6:50 to play in the first half. Running play to Bell. Le'Veon Bell, what a cut. Bell leans forward He got hit initially by big Geno Atkins. It's a 3-yard gain for Bell. And Vontaze Burfict late to get up. Get some help from the officials. And I don't know if Burfict's going to be able to stay in there. That's why he was down helmet to helmet as he got hit by DeCastro. And Burfict is dinged up. The officials helped him to his feet, and there was a clear indicator that Burfict wasn't all there.
Absolutely, and he's still not all there as he's coming off the field with help from, and he doesn't want that help, does he? But he will be evaluated because of that hit. DeCastro at 316 pounds. Good legal hit, obviously, pulling guard on a linebacker, and Burfict got the worst of it.
Fifth-year linebacker Vontaze Burfict, aggressive, volatile, but such an impact player for this defense. He can run, he can cover, and he's the heart and soul of this defensive unit. 3rd and 7 for Pittsburgh. Burfict now on the sideline for Cincinnati. Bell sets up to the side of Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger to the end zone, caught for the touchdown, and Roethlisberger lays it in there for Antonio Brown, and the Steelers climb back into it against the Bengals.
12th receiving touchdown for Antonio Brown. Watch the post route here on Kirkpatrick. Good move to the corner and back to the post, and the ball couldn't have been better thrown.
Dan, there's a late flag at the 21. Brown found the Steeler fan in the front row.
Personal foul. Chop block. Offense number 26. 15-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
Wow. That has nullified the touchdown. Le'Veon Bell called on a chop block.
And he's going to chop on Carlos Dunlop as Dunlop is coming from right here. Watch Bell as Dunlop is engaged here with Foster. And that will nullify this touchdown catch. That is a good call by the officials, one they saw late, but nonetheless, the proper call.
Are they more aware because of the history between these two teams?
Well, I hope so. I hope the officials are on red alert.
3rd and 22. Touchdown is taken off the board. Roethlisberger underneath to Eli Rogers. He's making a bunch of moves, but he can't get past any defenders.
And
they hemmed him in.
And what that causes now, a lot longer field goal attempt.
Vontaze Burfict is walking gingerly to the locker room for Cincinnati.
All that dancing around, and may make this a 49 to 50-yard field goal attempt. And in cold weather, the ball just will not fly as it normally does.
So Chris Boswell is on. Made one from 45 yards away. This is a 49-yard attempt. Greg Warren will snap it. The punter Jordan Berry will hold it. From 49 yards out, Boswell. He nails it. Wow. Chris Boswell just enough. Steelers trying to chip away at this Cincinnati lead. It's now 17-6. Bengals, 5:25 to go. First half in Cincy.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light. Strike gold, and you could win Super Bowl tickets for life. And by Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Back here in the Queen City along the Ohio River in Cincinnati. Santa's in attendance with the Bengals leading at 17-6. City of Cincinnati, it's Steeler week. Talked to Domata Pecco. He said, you go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, everybody's talking about the matchup in Pittsburgh. Boswell kicks it off. Return man is Erickson, the rookie. Erickson, Scott, a lane. Erickson to the outside. Boswell trying to chase him. Oh, he tripped him. Alex Erickson looked like he had a clear path to the end zone. Chris Boswell saves the touchdown.
Tremendous speed by Erickson and great blocking. He sees the opening right there, and now Boswell will lay out and get the last spike on the bottom of his shoe. 72 yards for Erickson. Right now he's thinking, I got a touchdown.
The rookie out of Wisconsin nearly had the touchdown. Oh, he tripped himself.
Yeah, he got, one foot was knocked into the other, and down he goes.
Well, the Bengals open up this drive. Near interception for Shazier. Andy Dalton telegraphed it.
Well, Dalton had 4 passes against the Ravens knocked down, very similar to this. That ball should have been intercepted by Shazier, and he knows it.
Dalton is now 10 of 15 for 116 yards from the 26. Motion man is Boyd. He is yet to get involved here. Give it to Burkhead. The acceleration by Burkhead. He was running downhill across the 20, met by Mitchell. It's a 9-yard gain for Burkhead. We asked Dalton about him. He said he's got a similar style to Giovanni Bernard. He's quick, he's shifty, he's talented, and everybody in the locker room believes in him.
Yeah, good blocking there on the right side. Eifert and Jake Fisher. Fisher, who's started the game at right tackle, is back in after being expelled by Eric Winston.
Burkhead takes it to the outside for the first down. He was spun down inside the 10. Rex Burkhead, 4th year from Nebraska. Tackled by Sean Davis on the play.
And this is why the Bengals are feeling a lot better about their offensive production as of late. The running game obviously has improved, but they went back to basics. Talking to Ken Zampese, he said, we just wanted to go back and look at the design of each play and really work on that, and it's certainly paying off.
Burkhead again. Burkhead kept those legs moving and picks up 5 yards with Harrison and Mitchell collaborating on the stop. But Cincinnati's knocking on the door again. We are under 4 minutes to play in this first half. They've got a 17-6 lead on the Steelers. 2nd and goal for the Bengals. Marvin Lewis now in his 14th year as the head coach of the Bengals, 2nd longest tenured coach in the league behind Bill Belichick with one team. Give it to Burkhead, blown up in the backfield. 3 Steelers, including Sean Davis, Lawrence Timmons, loss of 1 on the play.
Well, Sean Davis goes about 200 pounds here, and look at the way he comes across the line of scrimmage and then gets his head and shoulders in front of Burkhead's legs, denying him of any yardage.
1, 2, 3,
Will this be Eifert time for Cincinnati? 3rd and goal for the Bengals.
9, 2, and 3.
We hit 3 minutes to play in the first half. Dalton floats it to the outside. Catch, no. Burkhead could not bring it in, and Artie Burns made sure of it. It's now 4th down, and the field goal unit is coming on for Cincinnati.
Now the Steelers playing man or zone coverage that time because they are concerned with Eifert and his ability when he's singled there. That time Burns came off of Eifert and made a break on Burkhead. Burkhead makes that catch. He's going to just be able to get maybe back to the line of scrimmage and out of bounds.
Cincinnati has not scored more than 21 points in 14 straight games against Pittsburgh. They have a chance to put 20 on the board before we hit the halftime break. Short field goal. Miller. It's good. And it's 20-6 Bengals. 2:51 left. Ben Roethlisberger will get the football back. Week 15 continues later today on CBS. For some of you on Fox, then tonight Sunday Night Football on NBC, and tune in tomorrow Monday Night Football on ESPN. Well, in this first half, field goal, touchdown, field goal for Cincinnati. They've been better at home offensively, 23.5 points per game, just under 400 yards of offense. On the road, averaging 18 points and 350 yards of offense. You go back since 2013, when they score 22 points or more, they're 33-1-2. They've got 20 points on the board.
They've been unstoppable so far, and it's been really Pittsburgh not playing characteristically as they have in the last 4 games. A lot of mistakes by the Steelers in the first half, and Bengals have taken advantage.
Conversely, Pittsburgh is 8-0 when allowing 20 points or less. They're 0-5 when they give up 21 points or more. Cincinnati kicking it off with Randy Bullock. Deep man is Toussaint. Stops, spins, and tackled at the 16-yard line. Russell on special teams makes the play for Cincinnati.
You know, the Steelers trail by 14 in large part due to their own mistakes. This face mask penalty on Tuitt led to a field goal. Artie Burns with the pass interference. That led to a touchdown. And then the chop block by Le'Veon Bell wipes out a touchdown catch by Antonio Brown.
Injured Bengal on special teams. It's Vincent Ray, one of the leaders on this Cincinnati squad.
And if Burfict can't play, and Vinny Ray is his replacement.
Let's get an injury update from Evan Washburn. Evan?
Well, guys, these things are starting to pile up. First with Burfict. He's in the locker room right now being evaluated for concussion. We saw that helmet-to-helmet hit with the Castro, the previous defensive series. And for the Steelers, Ricardo Matthews just went into the locker room with what appeared to be a right leg injury. This is big because they're already thin on that defensive front with Stephon Tuitt out right now.
Evan, they lost Cameron Hayward for the season. Matthews stepped into that spot. Javon Hargrave was dealing with a concussion. Daniel McCullers stepped in there. You mentioned Tuitt. They're light.
Well, they only dressed 5 defensive linemen today, so you subtract 2. That gives you 3. L.T. Walton, Javon Hargrave, and Daniel McCullers along that defensive line.
Vincent Ray, versatile linebacker, can play any one of those spots. Was starting when Burfict was suspended earlier in the season and played at a high level. Steelers with a 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line. Le'Veon Bell's been limited to 25 yards on the ground. Toss it to Grimble. And a flag down as Grimble got tackled just short of the 20. Pecco and Malaluga, 5-yard pickup. 3 penalties against Pittsburgh. They've been big ones. 1 penalty against Cincinnati. Illegal man downfield against Pittsburgh. We'll read lips. You don't have to read any lips for Mike Tomlin. He's not saying anything. The look says it all.
Yeah, he's got to be totally disappointed in the performance of his entire team. Le'Veon Bell has 6 carries for just 25 yards. Roethlisberger 6 out of 11 for just 70 yards.
We asked him about the turnaround. They had lost 4 in a row, then won 4 in a row. He said they regained their stability on the offensive line. They got healthier up and down the roster. The development of young talent as well. Bell gets banged around 4 yards like a pinball. Michael Johnson there defensively for Cincinnati. And we asked him about the matchup specifically with Cincinnati and all the history between the two teams. And he said, look, we don't go into the stadium thinking about the past issues with the Bengals. We want the game to be clean and courteous and professional, but we don't necessarily get to choose how it's going to go. We've hit the 2-minute warning. Right now, the Steelers don't like the way it's going. It's 20-6, Cincinnati. Coming up, Verizon Halftime Report. JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, Coach Cowher, the latest NFL scores and highlights, all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Hamstring injury for Vincent Ray. His return is questionable. Vontaze Burfict suffered a head injury. They are taking a closer look at him inside the locker room. 2 minutes to play in the first half. 20-6 Cincinnati. Steelers face a 2nd and 11. They've been limited to 99 yards of offense. Looking for a big play downfield. Roethlisberger He makes the connection with Antonio Brown. And it's good enough for a first down. 13 yards as he hummed it in there to Brown.
And Antonio Brown double covered on the play, still managed to find a hole in that secondary.
Roethlisberger to throw it again. Couldn't get it to Brown cleanly. And it's incomplete.
That ball was deflected at the line of scrimmage by Carlos Dunlap. Dunlap has done this 15 times now this season. Watch. Ball in spiral there, then it gets hit by the right pinky finger, and out of spiral it goes.
You got Dunlap at 6'6". You have Michael Johnson at 6'7". Margus Hunt is 6'8". They just keep getting bigger. So no Burfict, no Ray. Nick Vigil, the rookie out of Utah State, getting a chance. Roethlisberger to the sideline. Sammy Coates with a clean catch. Did not get out of bounds, and he's down at the 36-yard line.
And this is big for Sammy Coates. Watch the Adam Jones come in here and just add his little 2 cents to it and pushing him out of bounds. That is where Coates wanted to get to, but because he was going out of bounds backwards, the officials say his forward progress was stopped, and the clock keeps rolling.
Coates had 97 receiving yards in the first meeting for Todd Haley's offense. But Coates just has not been able to get going with the 2 broken fingers, the hand injury.
Yeah, couldn't have a worse injury for a receiver. But Coates is the speed guy. In that first game, he had a long bomb of 53 yards that set up a Pittsburgh touchdown.
30 more yards if they'd be looking at about a 50-yard field goal attempt. Boswell tied a season high with a 49-yarder earlier. Cincinnati leads Pittsburgh 20-6. We have a minute 22 to go in the second quarter. From the gun, Roethlisberger forced out, dumps it off. Le'Veon Bell, spin move by Bell, and the Bengals converge on Bell. Carlos Dunlap among 3 Cincinnati defenders to limit Bell to a 3-yard gain through the air. Roethlisberger is 9 of 15, just 96 yards. Bell has been held to 29 yards. Antonio Brown had the one long catch for 32 yards, had a touchdown that was nullified because of a penalty. Roethlisberger, pump fake, dials up the deep ball. Oh, the adjustment there by Sammy Coates, and it's incomplete. One-on-one with Kirkpatrick, using his body as they were fighting for position along the sideline.
Well, Kirkpatrick does a good job running with Coates here, but in my book, that's pass interference. He put both hands on the shoulders of Coates, preventing Coates from adjusting to that ball.
Coates got it on the bounce, and now it's 3rd and 7 for Pittsburgh from the 40-yard line. 44 seconds to go. First half.
5-6.
They had 460 yards of offense last week. They have 125 in the first half today. From the gun, Roethlisberger. Protection is there. Roethlisberger. It's complete. Kobe Hamilton. Downfield to Hamilton. He was on the Cincinnati practice squad, and now he's making a big play for the Pittsburgh Steelers for 21 yards. 33 seconds left, a timeout. We'll step away for 30 seconds and be right back to Cincy. Coming up, Verizon Halftime Report. JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, Coach Cower. Latest NFL scores and highlights. That's coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Looks like those dogs are going to be involved in the halftime fun here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, Frisbee time.
33 seconds left. Roethlisberger now tossing it around like a Frisbee. 117 yards, 10 of 17. 7 different receivers. Roethlisberger. Dump off over the middle. Le'Veon Bell after the catch, he spun down. We're down to 25 seconds left. He comes up with an 8-yard gain through the air.
Roethlisberger getting a lot of time to throw, found Hamilton, and then he just finds Bell, clocks the ball here, They're well within field goal range. Boswell hit a 49-yarder in this direction earlier in the quarter.
Ben Roethlisberger had 3 touchdowns, 259 yards in the first meeting. That was back in week 2.
You go back to that catch by Kobe Hamilton. He only has 13 catches all year, but the coaches say that every catch he's made as of late has come up with a big play, such as that one to get the Steelers close to field goal range.
And Dan, the Steelers do get the football to start the second half. 15 seconds to play in this second quarter. 3rd and 2 for Roethlisberger. Look downfield, and it bounces off of Bell. Could not find a man in the secondary and try to get some extra yards for Bell. It's 4th down. So this will be a 49-yard attempt. Boswell had just enough on that last attempt from 49 yards away.
And really, the wind has totally died now, so that should not be a factor. Just this cold weather.
Career long is 51. Barry holds it. Boswell. Oh, he's got the distance. And he's got it. Chris Boswell, 3 for 3 on field goal attempts. And it's 20-9 Cincinnati. We'll be back in 30 seconds to Paul Brown Stadium. Steelers got some points before the break. 11 plays, 54 yards. Boswell once again. Pittsburgh has not been able to come up with those explosive plays on offense, but enough to hang around here against Cincinnati. 20-9, the Bengals lead it.
And I really doubt that Boswell will be kicking this one deep to Alex Erickson. Erickson got that 72-yarder last time out. Boswell with a super saving, touchdown-saving tackle, but it'd be wise to just put this one on the ground with just 6 seconds left.
Steelers are 15-3 at Paul Brown Stadium since it opened back in 2000. They've won 6 of their last 7 here in Cincy. Kickoff from Boswell. Erickson will get a chance. Showed good speed on that long return earlier as time expires. Jordan Dangerfield makes the play on special teams, and that will end the first half. Steelers will get the football to open up the second half. They trail the Bengals 20-9 at the break here at the Jungle. Bengals are 5-7-1. The Steelers trying to improve to 9-5 and win their 5th straight game. Let's go downstairs. Evan Washburn with Mike Tomlin.
Well, Coach, their offense able to find points in all their drives. What are your priorities defensively for the second half?
It's not about their offense. It's about penalties. We had a sack on the first series that gave them a new set of downs because we had a face mask on the quarterback. We had a turnover, an interception. We had a DPI. There was another penalty. We scored a touchdown on offense that was negated by a penalty. We've had 3 penalties that's had a direct reflection of possession of the ball or scoring.
You got pros in that locker room. How do you address that with them?
We got to play cleaner.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Evan, thanks very much. End of the first half in Cincinnati, and it's 20-9. Bengals leading the Steelers in a key AFC North matchup. We'll come back for Verizon Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Roethlisberger to throw it again. Couldn't get it to Brown cleanly. Jeremy Hill busting through for the touchdown. He doesn't like the terrible towel, but he likes to score. 20-9, Cincinnati leading Pittsburgh as we get you ready for second half action back here in the broadcast booth. Ian Eagle along with Dan Fouts, longtime division rivals. We know what's at stake here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Destiny in their own hands. They win out, they make the playoffs. Cincinnati's just trying to hold on here in the playoff chase. Also trying to gain some respectability in December. They went winless in the month of November.
Well, they put together 2.5 really strong performances that first half when they scored on all 4 of their possessions.
Yep.
Took advantage, good field position, but also those Pittsburgh mistakes. And it'd be interesting to hear what Mike Tomlin addressed his team with at halftime after describing exactly what went wrong with all those penalties that gave the Bengals a lot of life.
Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Pittsburgh will have possession to open up the second half. 3 field goals from Chris Boswell. Mike Tomlin very direct with our own Evan Washburn at halftime. The penalties were killers. 4 penalties, 74 yards, but all of them played a role in how we've gotten to this point. Cincinnati took advantage, and they've got a 20-9 lead on the Steelers.
Really good balance for Cincinnati in that first half. 68 yards rushing and 116 yards passing.
Randy Bullock, who has just signed this week, kicks it off. Steelers will take a knee with Toussaint. They'll have it at the 25-yard line to start the third quarter. Let's check in with Evan Washburn. Evan?
Line looks like good news for the Bengals in their linebacking core. First, we saw Vontaze Burfict go into the locker room to be evaluated for a concussion. He's back out on the field with his helmet. He was working with the UNC, the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant, but it looks like he's cleared. Vincent Ray also dealing with a hamstring. He was back out here with his helmet on. So good news for the Bengals defense. Marvin Lewis very happy with the way Andy Dalton got his guys in and out of the huddle, played with pace. Guys?
And not so much good news for the Pittsburgh defense. Stephon Tuitt, that knee injury, not expected to return. Ricardo Matthews suffered an ankle injury in that first half. Handoff, Le'Veon Bell. Shake and bake move as he gets hit from behind and gets extra yards. 5 yards to the 30-yard line. Halftime numbers for Pittsburgh, 154 total yards. Cincinnati had 184. Just the 1 penalty against the Bengals. Time of possession was very much in favor of Cincinnati. Pittsburgh did go on a drive at the tail end of that first half. Steelers currently have a 1-game lead over Baltimore in the AFC North. They will play the Ravens on Christmas Day at Heinz Field. 2nd and 5 for the Steelers. Bell again. Stutter step. Bell trying to squeeze through the hole. He gets stood up and then thrown down after picking up 3 yards. Ray Maluga in on the stop, and flags come flying down. Vontaze Burfict is in there.
Well, Burfict was hit from behind, and that's what drew the flag. Another flag coming out. You can't pull another player out of a pile. That may be the call there. But Burfict pleading his case because he was drilled from behind.
Yeah, Burfict having an extended conversation right now with Kobe Hamilton. And so Burfict got shoved from behind by Marcus Gilbert.
Yeah, Gilbert took it. He didn't like the way Burfict went in to try and hit Bell before that.
And then Burfict and DeCastro get into it. Remember, it was DeCastro who had the block on Burfict that sent him to the locker room. Cincinnati Bengals self-destructed in January in the playoff game.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. That's number 77. 15-yard penalty, down counts, 3rd down.
And that's it. Only on Gilbert.
Yeah, but they threw another penalty flag when there was a big scrum there.
And I think Mike Tomlin is asking about that penalty flag. There were 2 on the ground. The officials got in there. Then a 3rd flag came through.
Here's the push by Gilbert. That drew the flag and the personal foul penalty.
So Burfict looked up at that point. He was tied up with DeCastro. They get into it. And after this exchange had taken place, a 3rd flag came in. But no call attached to it. It was 3rd and 2. Instead, it's now 3rd and 17. Mike Tomlin said, this matchup, familiarity breeds a level of discontent. The fact that these 2 teams see each other so often, and it's been building. It's intensified through the years. There were no fireworks in the first meeting. It never got out of control.
The games have meant something in the last couple of years. That's always will intensify a rivalry.
Cincinnati's made the playoffs each of the last 5 years. Only New England and Green Bay have gone a longer stretch. Long pass down the sideline to Ladarius Green. The rainbow delivery by Roethlisberger for a first down. 23 yards. And a player down for Cincinnati along that sideline. And it's on the Pittsburgh bench area.
Yeah, it's Sean Williams. He pushes Green out of bounds.
Williams is up. He'll head to the other sideline with an escort. Sean Williams, the safety, was hit along the sideline, hurt on this hit by going on the backside of Green. Clayton Fedulum steps in for him. Deron Smith is inactive. So they are thin in the secondary as well. Handoff to Bell. It was a great throw by Roethlisberger to get it to his tight end, and then Bell accelerates out on the perimeter. Carlos Dunlap cutting off the angle. It's an 8-yard run for Bell.
Good speed by Bell as he trying to hit it off tackle, saw it to the outside and picked up 8 yards. And going back to that pass by Roethlisberger to Green, a beautiful throw along the sideline. The Green getting deep down the field shows you his versatility.
Last meeting, 24-16 win for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger had 3 touchdowns. D'Angelo Williams was in for Le'Veon Bell. He had 132 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown. Trickery to Sammy Coates. And a flag thrown in the backfield back at the 39 as Coates zigzags across the 40-yard line, chased by Josh Shaw. Is this Vontaze Burfict again? 15-yard run.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 55. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Well, this is where the criticism comes into play with the Cincinnati Bengals and harnessing your emotions.
Well, he thinks that Roethlisberger has the ball and tosses him to the ground.
They have a chat. Burfict gets in his face. 15 yards on the run, 15 yards on the penalty. That's 30 yards for Pittsburgh.
And 30 yards is exactly what happened in the playoff game last year with back-to-back penalties.
That was Burfict and Adam Jones.
Yep.
With a side roll from Joey Porter. 20-9 Cincinnati. First possession of the second half. And Pittsburgh is on the move. Just short of the 20. Handed to Le'Veon Bell. And Bell hit from the side as he picks up 4 yards. We take you back with Vontaze Burfict. Back in November of last year, the hit on Le'Veon Bell that ended his season in the playoff game. He knocked out Ben Roethlisberger with a shoulder injury. He later returned, and then the shot heard around Cincinnati and Pittsburgh as Antonio Brown got hit by Burfict with that blow to the head.
And it caused Brown to miss the playoff game, and the Steelers lost.
Denver won the Super Bowl. They beat the Steelers the following weekend and carried it to a title. Le'Veon Bell. The Bengals fully prepared on the outside for Le'Veon Bell. It's been a frustrating afternoon for Bell. He's been held to 48 yards on the ground. He's got 3 catches for 21 yards.
But you can see they're not going away from Bell, giving him the ball. But that time, just tremendous pursuit by the Bengals as Drake Kirkpatrick set the edge, and he got help from the inside.
8th play of the drive. This is a 3rd and 6 for Pittsburgh. Dime package for Cincinnati. Flag comes down. Bengals pointing at the Steelers.
Ball start. Offense number 66. 5-yard penalty.
It's DeCastro on the right side of the Pittsburgh line.
Well, it was penalties that hurt the Steelers in the first half. There's the quick start by DeCastro and his running mate, Marcus Gilbert. That brings up a 3rd and long now for Big Ben and the Steelers.
6 penalties, costing the Steelers 94 yards. 3rd and 11 for Pittsburgh. Operating out of the gun. Roethlisberger fires. End zone. Knocked away. Try to get it to Brown, and it's Pac-Man Jones.
That was double coverage. Ben just trying to hope that Bell can come up with this, but you can see in front Jones knocking away. Sean Williams back in the game. He was going to make sure that Brown didn't catch it as well. This was just a toss to the end zone, hoping Brown could do something magical with it.
40-yard attempt for Chris Boswell, second-year kicker from Rice. And he puts it through for Pittsburgh. It's 20-12 Cincinnati. 10:38 to play in the 3rd quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. The new 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Jeep free to be. And by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
Rest of our hard-working crew here in Cincinnati, happy holidays to everybody. Cincinnati leads Pittsburgh 20-12 with 10:38 to go on the 3rd quarter. Another field goal for Boswell, matching a career high with 4 field goals in the game. And now he'll kick it off. Alex Erickson has been dangerous, and he's standing 4 yards deep in the end zone. Boswell puts it to the goal line. Erickson brought down and a flag thrown as he's tackled at the 21-yard line. Penalty marker on the play. Vince Williams on special teams leading that charge for Pittsburgh.
During the return, holding. Receiving team number 81. 10-yard penalty. First down.
So back it up as Tyler Croft picks up the penalty. Tonight, the Pope's Choir, the oldest and most heavenly of them all, in the most spectacular setting. Only on 60 Minutes, and that's tonight, only CBS. Bengals will have it at the 10-yard line. It's Cincinnati's first possession of the second half. They lead Pittsburgh by 8. Jeremy Hill, 44 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Also has a catch for 8 yards. Handoff to Hill. Jeremy Hill, good vision there to turn it into a 4-yard gain. Tackle on the play by Sean Davis. The first half possessions for Cincinnati. Dan, you mentioned it. Every opportunity they had, they scored.
Yeah, and Randy Bullock has got to be the most popular guy. This is Jeremy Hill down on the ground. Giovanni Bernard hurt earlier this season. There's only 2 active running backs left for the Bengals. You've seen Burkhead. You'll probably see some Cedric Pierman.
Hill was ridden down by Dupree after Davis made the initial contact, and they've turned over Jeremy Hill. Working on that lower right leg. Hill's in his 3rd year. He had that fumble in the wild card game, and we talked about it with him earlier this season. He said, hey, look, of course it eats you up, but you turn the page, you move on. He's had a productive year for Cincinnati.
And has yet to fumble this year, and I'm not trying to jinx him, but that's a fact. So he has really fought hard to protect the ball.
Hill up on his feet. We'll step aside. Right leg bending and flexing.
And one of the adjustments that the Steelers have made along their defensive line, because they only have 3 healthy defensive linemen in the second half. The ageless one, James Harrison, playing defensive end now for Pittsburgh.
Harrison had the 1 year with the Cincinnati Bengals. Other than that, it's been all Pittsburgh. Tried to break into the league. Baltimore Ravens were involved, couldn't make that squad. eventually becoming the Steelers' all-time sack leader. Undrafted free agent in 2002. 2nd and 6. Rex Burkhead is in. Hill on the sideline for Cincinnati. Burkhead gets the ball. Burkhead accelerates for the first down. Ryan Shazier in on the stop. It's a 9-yard pickup. Lawrence Timmons as well for Pittsburgh. Rex Burkhead running hard. Hill said that Burkhead is a humble guy. He trains hard. He's underrated. He can make guys miss. Now needs to protect for Dalton. Loops out on a pass route, and Dalton zips it to the sideline and hooks up with Tyler Boyd. First catch of the day for the Pittsburgh native, William Gay, there defensively for the Steelers. 5-yard pickup.
That's 3 times today that Dalton has made plays out of the pocket, always rolling to his right so he can have a good throwing motion, and Boyd uncovering there in front of William Gay.
Clareton High School product, University of Pittsburgh. Dalton now 11 of 17, 121 yards. Dalton tosses it away. Dealing with some heat. Lawrence Timmons put the pressure. Let's go to New York. JB, Tony Gonzalez.
Hey, Ian, talk about improvising.
Yeah, Ty Montgomery, the second-year player who was a receiver, came in as playing running back now. 13 carries, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. He puts Green Bay up 20-10.
Coach Carroll's kind of a versatile guy. Back to Ian Eagle.
And the Packers offensive line going sleeveless in Chicago. Agreed. 3rd and 5. Dalton hooks a pass. It's complete across the 35. Andy Dalton hooks up with Tyler Eifert on the play, and they'll move the chains.
Now, Dalton talked about this big inviting target, and he puts this ball right on him, regardless of the fact that Eifert is being closely guarded by Sean Davis. L.T. Walton coming from his defensive tackle spot to add an exclamation point to that tackle.
First catch of the day for Eifert. Jeremy Hill is back in. He's in the backfield for Cincinnati. New set of downs for the Bengals. We approach 8 minutes to go in the 3rd. 20-12. Cincinnati in front of Pittsburgh. Play clock winding down. Check to a running play, and James Harrison dissects it, and he dumps Hill in the backfield. Loss of 3 on the play.
Now nobody blocks him. Watch him jump inside of the tight end Eifert. Tremendous explosion still. Now in his 14th year.
Mike Tomlin told us that Harrison is an exception to the rule that nobody beats Father Time. He's fighting it pretty good. Great hands. What a grab by James Wright. It's modest in terms of the stats, 5 yards, but fantastic catch by Wright along the sideline.
Well, he's going to really corkscrew his body here with Harrison coming on the coverage. Ball thrown way behind him. Those good tacky gloves making a difference there.
Eifert sets up in the backfield. Dalton's in trouble. Dalton is dumped by Shazier. The Pittsburgh Steelers over the last 4 games have come alive in the sack department, and they get to Dalton. It's a loss of 10, 4th down, Cincinnati.
Well, they've had 19 now in the last 5 games. Shazier just running through and trying to strip the ball from Dalton, and almost got it out before Dalton was down.
First punt of the afternoon for Huber. Antonio Brown is waiting for it at the 23-yard line. He has 4 punt return touchdowns in his career. He's had some big ones against Cincinnati. Brown, fair catch called for, and he's got it at the 31. It's a 42-yard punt. Steelers have the football. They trail the Bengals in Cincinnati by 8. Dan, does facial hair provide extra warmth in these conditions, in your experience?
No. I wouldn't even borrow that thing, whatever.
I'm not sure what that was doing for that guy. Ben Roethlisberger, from the state of Ohio, and he has dominated the competition between the Bengals and the Browns in his career. First and 10 for the Steelers. And off the bell, not much there. The Bengals charge of the football, 2-yard gain for Bell. Let's take you back. Standout athlete at Findlay High School, not just in football, but basketball and baseball as well. Look at that drive with the left hand. Roethlisberger moved on to Miami of Ohio in Oxford. He was a 3-year starter there. Record setter, drafted in the first round by the Steelers. The rest is history. His career in Cincinnati, when he starts, the Steelers are 10-2. Roethlisberger sets the feet on a 2nd and 8. Roethlisberger tosses it downfield to Eli Rogers. First down across the 40-yard line in Cincinnati territory. 27 yards on the pass.
And it gets beyond Josh Shaw. It's a zone coverage too deep. And that's the dead spot in that zone. Linebacker getting late down the middle there is Carlos Dansby. And a big catch by Eli Rogers.
We asked Roethlisberger about these young receivers, and he said, look, we're not asking them to make 10 or 11 catches a game. We already have someone who does that, Antonio Brown. Just play your role. If it's 1 or 2 catches, have an impact. And we've seen that today from Rogers, from Hamilton. Line of scrimmage is the 40. Le'Veon Bell trying to soften up this Cincinnati defense on a zigzag move for 5. Tackled at the 35-yard line as Le'Veon Bell pops up. The injuries that he suffered, Reggie Nelson was involved in one as a member of the Bengals, and Vontaze Burfict the other. He said, look, I can't think about it. Is it a coincidence? He even questioned himself that both injuries came against Cincinnati.
And both season-ending.
Loves playing in cold weather. Le'Veon Bell from Reynoldsburg, Ohio. Play fake. Roethlisberger. Deep ball. Terrific attempt, but it's snuffed out. Sammy Coates with Dre Kirkpatrick.
There's a couple of great plays by Kirkpatrick in the secondary. It's man-to-man this time, and stride for stride with Sammy Coates. Ball hangs up just a little bit, and a good clean play as Kirkpatrick goes with the left hand and grabs the face mask and doesn't get called for a face mask with an official standing right there. Cannot see the right hand on the face mask of Coates. Unbelievable.
That was the back judge, Greg Meyer, who was back there. Roethlisberger has the protection. Underneath, he hits Green. Ladarius Green ridden towards the sideline at the 30-yard line.
Oh, watch the right hand. It's going to go right inside the face mask, pull the helmet and the head of Sammy Coates. The official looking for pass interference? Maybe, but how do you miss this one?
Meanwhile, the Steelers have enough for the first down. They spot the football at the 30. The marker was just in front of the 30-yard line. And the Steelers' drive continues with 3.5 to go in the third. They trail Cincinnati 20-12.
And Ladarius Green becoming more of a factor with each play for the Steelers. 3 catches now for 34 yards. That one he had to fight hard to get that first down.
Ladarius Green, ankle injury. He was activated off the PUP list on November the 12th. Steelers started the season 4-1, then lost 4 straight. They've won 4 in a row. Roethlisberger, he was thinking about throwing it away, now sticks his helmet down, trying to get back to the line of scrimmage. It will go down as a sack, and Green, a little bit slow to get up, shaking his head. May need some help.
You can see the officials checking out Ladarius Green. Officials doing a lot better job of that to recognize when a player is in discomfort. That's the umpire, Bruce Stritsky.
So Green trots over to the Pittsburgh sideline. Steelers now face a 2nd and 11. They go empty. 5 receiver set. Roethlisberger looking for the Steelers' first touchdown of the day. High throw off the hands of Jesse James. Bengals upset Adam Jones in particular that he didn't get the INT.
Now Roethlisberger upset with himself for throwing it too high, and upset with Jesse James at 6'7", not being able to haul that one in.
Now it's 3rd and 11. Line of scrimmage is the 31. We've got 2:15 to go in the third quarter. Dime package here for Cincinnati.
Hey, he's there. Just the right middle. Yeah.
Roethlisberger. Knocked down. Rejected at the line. Josh Shaw.
That's a heck of a play by Josh Shaw. He's coming on the blitz, left side of the screen, number 26. Watch him get up in the air here with one hand and knock that one straight back past Roethlisberger.
So once again, it is Chris Boswell from 49 yards away. He's made one from 45. He's made 2 from 49. He's made another from 40. 49-yard attempt, and Boswell splits the uprights for Pittsburgh. The Steelers keep putting 3 on the board over and over and over again.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by K Jewelers. For 100 years, every kiss begins with K. And by the new film Sing, in theaters this Wednesday.
Heading over from Kentucky to Ohio, over the Ohio River, which flows through or along the border of 6 states. Steelers 9 plays, 39 yards. Boswell has been the scoring machine for Pittsburgh. Returner is Erickson. Erickson slashing through a crowd. And he's dropped at the 30-yard line. 26-yard return. Cincinnati holding on to the lead, but it's getting tighter in the Queen City. AFC playoff picture, the Steelers are 8-5. Baltimore a game behind at 7-6. Cincinnati's on the periphery at 5-7-1. A loss for the Bengals, and they are done. First down for Cincinnati. Toss it to the outside. Boyd creating after the catch. James Harrison over there defensively with a little help from Shazier. That's 8 yards on the catch and run.
Yeah, and by putting Boyd in motion like that, it kind of gave him a head start on the defense. He broke into the flat. Dalton was right on target. Good drive starter there for Cincinnati.
Sets up 2nd and 2 for the Bengals. They had 184 yards in the first half. They've been held to 26 in the second half, and Jeremy Hill comes up short of the first down. Keep an eye on Baltimore and Philadelphia. Cincinnati would be eliminated no matter what happens here if Baltimore beats Philly. The Ravens trying to keep pace with the Steelers in the AFC North. 3-point game.
Bengals 4 of 8 converting third downs. This one third and real short. They bring in Ryan Hewitt at fullback.
In that first meeting, they didn't have Eifert, they didn't have Burfict. In this meeting, no A.J. Green, no Giovanni Bernard. They do have Jeremy Hill, and he has enough to move the chains. Across the 40-yard line, needed a yard, picked up 2. Clock winds down at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing a rebirth of the fullback position around the NFL, haven't we? Rosie Nix, a big contributor for Pittsburgh. Ryan Hewitt for the Bengals, leading the way on that conversion.
Down to 24 seconds left in the third. Cincinnati leading it by 5. Hill, the single setback. Steelers banged up on the defensive line with Tuitt and Matthews. Dalton to throw it. Pump, fire, intercepted. It's picked up by Timmons. Timmons gets clotheslined down by Whitworth. but the Bengals give it away. His 12th career interception.
Just a great job. I'm not sure what Chris Bodine was doing down the field like that. But this tackle by Whitworth right around the throat of Timmons. He did not put his hand inside the jersey, so this is not a horse collar tackle, but a very painful one at that. But Timmons with a huge play.
Lawrence Timmons, 10 years in the NFL. He's had many a battle against Cincinnati and Andrew Whitworth in particular. Andy Dalton came into the day 126 straight passes without an INT. On his 21st attempt, he's picked off with 1 second left in the third. Huge turnover as the Steelers have it at the Cincinnati 34. And this defense during the 4-game winning streak has done its part for Pittsburgh. Nix in front of Bell. Bell waits. Bell. Tremendous patience by Bell to turn that into a 9-yard gain. And that's the end of the third quarter at Paul Brown Stadium. The Bengals, they've got the lead, but the Steelers are threatening to change that. 20-15 Cincinnati. We'll come back after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. End of 3 here in Cincinnati. The Bengals have been outscored 69-51 in the fourth quarter this season. They've got a 20-15 lead as we start the fourth here. And the Steelers with a 2nd and 1 inside the Bengals 25. Roethlisberger hands it to Bell. Loops around. Bell will get the first down. Hit along the sideline by Sean Williams. 6-yard gain for Le'Veon Bell.
Go back to the interception by Timmons. Here he is right here. And Russell Bodine is going to go down the field thinking it's a running play. And he's going to be blocking on Timmons and blocks him right into the path of this ball. Should have been called for illegal man downfield. Wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Steelers go jumbo.
Yeah.
3 tight ends. On a first down just inside the 20. Roethlisberger tosses underneath. Flag down. Bell with the catch. Penalty marker at the 28-yard line as Bell got blasted. A hold with Pittsburgh trying to protect Ben Roethlisberger.
Holding. Offense number 66. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
DeCastro working against Pecco.
Pecco with a real good burst off the line. He surprised DeCastro on that pass rush, and he had to reach out and just grab him.
Well, one thing this offensive line has done is keep Ben Roethlisberger clean this season. This is the best protection he's ever had in his 13 years with the Steelers.
He's only been sacked 17 times so far.
But it's a 1st and 20 now for Pittsburgh after that penalty. Roethlisberger from the gun. Downfield. Caught by Rodgers. Inside the 15. That's 17 yards on the pass and catch.
Well, it's a zone coverage by the Bengals, and Roethlisberger with time to throw drops it into the dead zone in front of Iloka. That's 3 catches now for Rodgers. Brown has 3, Ladarius Green 3, and Le'Veon Bell 3. So Roethlisberger dealing it to 7 different receivers.
2nd and 3 now. Extra offensive lineman for Pittsburgh. Nix and Bell in the backfield. Handoff. Bell. Nothing there initially. And Bell is driven down. Double top. Pecco holds Bell to no gain. Let's go to New York. JB and Tony Gonzalez.
Ravens flexing.
Yes, they are right here. You're going to see Kenneth Dixon. He's going to take this handoff 16 yards forward, the touchdown. Big matchup next week. Baltimore plays Pittsburgh Christmas Day. Baltimore's up in this one, 27-17.
The rookie Dixon goes for the touchdown. Baltimore extends the lead. The Pittsburgh Steelers trailing here in Cincinnati, 20-15. 3rd and 3 for the Steelers. Roethlisberger, timing route, end zone. He was along the sideline. Kobe Hamilton, and it's incomplete. Kirkpatrick felt he was held on the play, and the field goal unit is coming on for Pittsburgh.
Good job by Le'Veon Bell picking up the blitzing. Vontaze Burfict. Just enough to allow Roethlisberger to get rid of this one. Enough of a block to keep him away from Roethlisberger, but not for long.
Another field goal for Boswell. That is 6 on the day, tying a Steeler record as he knocks it through from 30 yards. Jeff Reed, Gary Anderson make way for Chris Boswell. 18 points for the Pittsburgh Steelers, all of them from the right foot of Chris Boswell, tying Jeff Reed and Gary Anderson for the Steelers' all-time record. 6 field goals made here today in Cincinnati. He had to sit out a game a couple of weeks ago, and it was Randy Bullock who stepped in for him, who's now a member of the Bengals, kicking for the opponent. Boswell to kick it off. This is now a 2-point game with Cincinnati in front. Erickson is not going to take this one out of the end zone. Bengals will have it at the 25-yard line. Wednesday on CBS, the Bosses are back. Don't miss the Undercover Boss season premiere event. That's Wednesday at 8, 7 Central, only CBS.
That'd be a little scary for us, wouldn't it?
If our bosses were here?
Went undercover on us?
Oh, maybe they are. Dan, have you looked around the booth? Anybody in a disguise?
Just Al.
That's right. Bengals with a 20-18 lead. Cincinnati cashed in on all of its opportunities in the first half. They have not been able to do anything in this second half offensively. They've been held to 29 yards in the second half. Ryan Hewitt sets up as a receiver. They'll go pistol here, and now Burkhead releases. They toss it to him. Burkhead tries to make a move upfield, and he's held for no gain on the play. Ross Cockrell in on the tackle. Let's check in with Evan Washburn.
Well, and Dan, we know that Mike Tomlin's one with words. Last night he described this game as one that has a certain level of misery. Well, you can tell on this sideline, he's constantly pleading with his guys that are frustrated by the fact that they can't get in the end zone to just keep pounding. We're one score away. You can tell that he senses that frustration, guys.
And you look up, Steelers are right there. Their defense has stepped forward in the second half. And off the hill, and he can't get out of the grasp of Ryan Shazier. Loss of one on the play. Shazier wants to eat.
Back-to-back plays by Shazier, one on Burkhead on the outside, and now getting underneath the block that time of Kevin Zeitler and knifing in there, getting help from Dupree. Yeah, feed me. I'm hot.
And now it's 3rd and 11 for Cincinnati. We have 11:18 to go in this fourth quarter. Burkhead back in. LaFell had the big first half. Dalton throws. Slapped away by Cockrell, trying to get it to LaFell on the outside. It's a 3 and out for Cincinnati, and the Steelers will get the football back.
Great break on the ball by Cockrell as he knifes in front of LaFell. And just get enough of that left hand on the ball to knock it into the Steeler bench.
Antonio Brown, the return man, at the 29. Kevin Huber, 8th year with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's averaging 46.1 yards per kick.
Just the second hit today.
It's been a line drive. It bounces out of bounds. So Brown doesn't get to touch it. They will mark it out at the 31. That's where Roethlisberger will take over after the 45-yard punt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Walmart. Find gifts, groceries, and more this season. Progressive, handing off big savings to you. And by Marmot, fall in love with the outside.
Yes, the caricature from Joni Fleming of Glenesti High School in Cincinnati.
You got a little stubble there, pal.
Yeah, maybe I should have shaved that day. I didn't know it was picture day, Dan. How am I supposed to know it's caricature day? 10:51 to go in the fourth. Steelers have the football. They trail 20-18. Line of scrimmage is the 31. Handoff, Bell, stutter step. Right up the gut for Bell. He's got a first down. Out across the 40-yard line, Sean Williams and Vontez Burfict, 12-yard pickup.
Now, good double team here by Gilbert and DeCastro on Pecco. A little stutter step in the acceleration. You can have all the patience in the world, but if you don't finish it with a burst, you're not going to get anywhere. Bell with the burst. It's a good drive started that time for the Steelers.
Yeah, Bell said it was an adjustment for the offensive lineman when he got to Pittsburgh because most running backs just hit the hole, but eventually they were open to his running style. Roethlisberger, he dropped the ball and no further damage for Pittsburgh. Carlos Dunlap was over there for Cincinnati.
That is highly unusual between Roethlisberger and his center, Marquise Pouncey. And just flat dropped a good snap.
Pouncey, a perennial Pro Bowler. Dunlap upset at himself that he didn't come away with the football. 2nd and 11 now for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger. Protections there. Double clutch. And hooks up with Green. Ladarius Green extending his body very close to a first down. Sean Williams, last line of defense for Cincinnati on that side.
Now he's 6'6", and he knows he's got to stretch out after he makes this catch to have enough for the first down.
They're going to measure it, Dan.
Sean Williams with the tackle, but by diving forward, that'll convince the officials to bring the chains out.
Former San Diego Charger stretches the field with his abilities. Roethlisberger told us that he's deceptively fast, not a long strider, and needed another stride to get that first down. Anytime they see him matched up with a linebacker, Roethlisberger's going to look to him. We've seen him against safeties quite a bit today.
Yeah, he's got 4 catches for 43 yards. Comes up just a little bit short of the first down here. But you'd expect Todd Haley to go with some power here with Le'Veon Bell. Behind his big fullback, Rosie Nix.
3rd and less than a yard for Pittsburgh. They need to get the football just inside the 48. It's Bell in the backfield. Roethlisberger to throw it. Flag down, moving pocket. Play downfield. Roethlisberger broken up. Stepping in front of Stanley Coates is Dre Kirkpatrick, and a penalty marker down.
Bengals were offsides.
So a free play for Roethlisberger. He's took his shot.
Carlos Dunlap
Offside.
arguing.
Defense number 92. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
They get Pat Sims for jumping off sides, but that little movement right there. Roethlisberger with a hard count. Patrick trying to come away with this interception. Almost got all the way through to Sammy Coates.
So they march it down to the 44-yard line.
And in the first half, it was the Steelers who were committing the crucial penalties. Second half, it's been the Bengals with the mistakes.
So that's 4 penalties for 45 yards against Cincinnati. And the Steelers have a first down in Bengals territory. Mike Tomlin won his 100th regular season game last week. First franchise with 3 different head coaches to have 100 victories. Our colleague Bill Cowher and Chuck Noll. Greatness in this organization. New set of downs for Pittsburgh. Motion man is Johnson. Fake the handoff. Roethlisberger heaves it downfield. Incomplete. Looking for Antonio Brown and a flag thrown. Brown was asking for it. And the officials agreed.
Prior to the pass, holding. Defense number 27. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So it's not pass interference, it's a hold against Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, you can see it right there. That's before the ball was in the air. And then when the ball's in the air, he shoves Brown too. So take your pick here. The first penalty will take precedent. Ball was uncatchable. But Paul Guenther's got to be wondering what's going on with his defense. Critical penalties back-to-back here. And you know what? Boswell's within range of another 49-yarder here.
And that would be a record that he would hold by himself. But the Steelers are looking for more than that. 8:55 to play. Cincinnati up by 2. Play fake. Roethlisberger underneath. Bounces off of Bell. Dangerous. It's incomplete.
Yeah, ball thrown just slightly behind Bell. Had a tough time adjusting to it.
There's a penalty flag at the 32.
Holding. Defense number 27. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Now that's back-to-back on Kirkpatrick.
And Marvin Lewis might want to think about having Kirkpatrick sit down for a couple of plays, but look at him working here, pulling Kobe Hamilton, and there's the flag.
Follow it.
Self-inflicted wounds by the Bengals. 5 penalties, 50 yards, and a first down inside the 35 to Bell. Bell stood up. Lost the ball after the play was whistled dead, and a flag down.
Now, he was stopped. His forward progress was stopped, and then he gets thrown to the ground, and that'll be 4 penalties in 4 plays against the Bengals. Pat Sims will get called for the unnecessary roughness.
Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 92. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
It's a fourth quarter unraveling.
And Bengal fans have seen this before, haven't they?
And you know the officials are going to be more aware, more alert because of what's happened in the past. I know Sims is just trying to make a play there, but Adam Jones upset. The whistle was blown. There. And there's the extra takedown by Sims. So they place the football now at the 18-yard line with 8:40 to play.
And good poise by Le'Veon Bell, not retaliating. Probably too tired to retaliate.
Come bring it.
Motion man is Coates. They flip it to him. Coates spins away. Coates trying to make something positive here, and he cannot. The Bengals converge on Coates. It's a loss of 6 yards on the play.
Yeah, Will Clark had him in the backfield. Would have been a loss of maybe 10 yards. The Coates pulled away and then had absolutely nothing as the Bengals rallied to the ball.
So now 2nd and 16 for Pittsburgh. We are under 8 minutes to play. Steelers are 8-5, trying to maintain a 1-game lead in the AFC North over Baltimore. The Ravens leading the Eagles. Bengals are out with a loss or a Baltimore victory. Timeout called. With 7:36 to play, Steelers use their first timeout. Hey, NFL fans, order your holiday gifts from NFLshop.com today. Get free shipping at the official store of the NFL, NFLshop.com. Montez Burfict trying to get his teammates together with a defensive huddle. Ball's at the 24-yard line. This has been a long wait for Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati offense.
Well, after scoring on all their possessions in the first half, the Bengals have been shut out here in the second half. They just haven't been able to generate any offense at all. And speaking of offense for the Steelers now, they're well within Boswell's field goal range. Ben's got to be careful with this ball not to force anything and risk an interception. Be a 42-yard field goal from this point on the field if they don't get anything on the next two downs.
This is a rivalry that goes back to 1970. The Bengals were in the AFL in 68 and 69. And it's gone up a notch or two because both teams have been so good and successful in recent years. 2nd and 16. Roethlisberger fires. Caught for the touchdown. Eli Rogers puts the Steelers in front. Roethlisberger with a strike.
Now, Eli Rogers played a lot of slot receiver at Louisville, and this is where he is, lining up in the slot and running a post pattern on Josh Shaw. Number 17 here with a good move out there. That makes Shaw hesitate. Ball on target, on time, and in the end zone.
And the Steelers take a 24-20 lead. Eli Rogers, his 3rd touchdown reception of the season. Pittsburgh is going for 2. No team goes for 2 more than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Steelers 3 of 8 converting 2-point conversions.
Extra point would make it a 5-point lead. 2-point conversion here would put the Steelers up 26-20. Roethlisberger waiting. Roethlisberger throws, and it bounces off of Jones. A flag down. Trying to squeeze it into Antonio Brown.
Penalties declined. Charge no good.
Now the Steelers will have to settle for a 4-point lead.
Yeah, DeCastro called for holding, but look at this fastball from Roethlisberger right to the goal line and the belly of Eli Rogers.
18 unanswered points for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lead it 24-20. You try to crunch the numbers with a 2-point conversion decision by Mike Tomlin. They didn't get it. If they got the 2-point conversion, it would have been a 6-point differential. So you're talking about 2 field goals for Cincinnati just to tie it. By not attempting the extra point, which would have made it 25-20, you think about what would have happened with a touchdown from Cincinnati. Pittsburgh could get the football back with a chance to win it as opposed to just tying it with a field goal. Let's see how the game plays out, of course, as Erickson takes a knee. Cincinnati hasn't shown any stability on offense in this second half. The Steelers have flipped the switch on the Cincinnati Bengals.
And they've gotten help from the Cincinnati Bengals. That drive there was kept alive by 4 penalties on the Bengal defense in 4 consecutive plays.
Cincinnati has 7 minutes and 29 seconds left on the clock. They now trail the Steelers 24-20. Boyd, the motion man, on first down. Take the handoff, bootleg. Dalton throws to the sideline, and it's caught by LaFell. First down. Ross Cockrell in coverage.
Well, finally they go back to LaFell. It's been a long time since he's caught a pass. This one good for 14 yards. Perfect throw. Cockrell with real good coverage, but couldn't stop that bullet from Andy Dalton.
Dalton with 157 yards and a pick. Timmons got the INT. Handoff. Lynn trying to string it out. There's no room to work. Bud Dupree helped make sure of it. It's a loss of 4 on the play. Want to welcome those of you We've been watching the Buffalo Bills and the Cleveland Browns. Buffalo a winner 33-13, so the Browns remain winless. Here, AFC North matchup. The Pittsburgh Steelers have rallied, and they now lead 24-20 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Second half has been controlled by Keith Butler's Steelers defense. Second year as the coordinator of that group. Second and 14, 5-receiver set. Dalton out of the pocket, on the move. Dalton will just heave it out of bounds. Fans getting antsy here at Paul Brown Stadium. It sets up a 3rd and 14 for Cincinnati.
Well, that first down run by Jeremy Hill was just snuffed out by the Steelers, who have adjusted to losing defensive lineman Ricardo Matthews and Stephon Tuitt. We've gone to a two-man defensive line, adding extra linebackers, but the versatility of Dupree, who played defensive end in college some, and of course James Harrison making it all work.
Cincinnati has been held to 38 yards of offense in the second half. This is a 3rd and 14. Dalton lets it fly. Timing was just a bit off. LaFell could not bring it in, and Artie Burns breaking on the ball to make the play on the perimeter.
Well, this ball is tipped up in the air by LaFell, and he can't locate it. If he can locate it, he might walk into the end zone the other way. Burns just got enough of that ball to keep him from catching it, and Dalton punished at the end by Timmons.
Antonio Brown waiting for the Huber punt. Backpedals all the way inside the 10. Brown trying to maneuver out of trouble. And he's brought down just across the 15-yard line after the 54-yard punt. 5-yard return. Denard makes the play on special teams. Pittsburgh with the football and the lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. Search for better. And by National Mortgage Lender Quicken Loans. Home buy, refi, power.
Myron Cope's name lives on. The late, great Steelers broadcaster with a terrible towel. Steelers fans travel, and you got a bunch of them here in Cincinnati. They have seen their team come from behind to take a 24-20 lead. Fake the handoff, Roethlisberger underneath. A dart to Bell. Trying to cut it upfield, and he's brought down to the 24-yard line by Adam Jones. That's 8 yards. Pittsburgh Steelers are 8-5. Cincinnati 5-7-1. Baltimore up by 7 on Philadelphia with under a minute to play. Kansas City up by 1 on Tennessee late in that game. And Houston trailing Jacksonville would be a damaging loss for the Texans, and it may open the door for Indianapolis to win that division. Extra offensive lineman here for Pittsburgh on a 2nd and 2. They go traditional set. Nix blocking for Bell. And he powers ahead. Enough for the first down.
Yeah, no hesitation that time by Bell. He just got right in behind his fullback Nix, knowing he just needed a short yardage to get the first down. And he ensured that he got it by not hesitating.
Le'Veon Bell, 20 carries, 86 yards, 4 catches for 29 yards. He's gone 4 straight games with over 100 yards. First Steeler to do it since Jerome Bettis. New set of downs for Pittsburgh. Bell remains in there. Fake it. Roethlisberger, toss it to him. He doesn't catch the football. It's Burfict who is lurking and still talking to Bell. Bell is not reacting. Burfict is tapping him on the helmet, tapping him on the shoulder pad, and Bell just walks away.
He's cool. He really is. I mean, smart kid, knows what's on the line here.
He said he and Franco Harris have spoken a few times over the years. He has a lot of respect for what Franco accomplished, how he played. He also mentioned that Franco owes him dinner. Michigan State beat Penn State last season, and he's waiting for that payoff. If you're listening, Franco, just get that one in the kitty.
He has a good memory, Franco.
2nd and 10. Bell is wrestled down after he picks up 2 yards.
And we always like to think about comparisons with ball players. And in talking to Todd Haley, he said that he reminded Todd of Franco Harris because Franco kind of picked his way along the line of scrimmage. But Franco was criticized a lot for running out of bounds. Back in those days, we never ran out of bounds, right? And but talking to Le'Veon, he says, well, it's smart to take some hits off the body. And that's why at times he will go out of bounds.
This is a huge play on a 3rd and 8 for Pittsburgh. Cincinnati desperately needs a stop here. Roethlisberger steps up. He throws, finds a soft spot, and it's Ladarius Green for the first down. Ben Roethlisberger delivers. Green takes a big hit. 27 yards. He holds on to the football. And they are in Cincinnati territory.
And that's a silencer for this crowd with 2 players down on the field.
There was a pop from Iloka.
And also getting in, it was Darquez Denard there. But that's the value of a big tight end that can run and that can get down the middle and is courageous enough to hang on to a ball after taking a big hit.
5 catches, 71 yards for Green. That was immense. 3:26 left. Steelers get to use more clock, and they put themselves in position to put more points on the board. Currently a 4-point lead.
Bengals have 3 timeouts.
No, that's the right.
Line of scrimmage is now the 43 of Cincinnati.
We got 5-5.
Roethlisberger, quick toss. Rodgers on the slant. 9 yards. Iloka the tackle for Cincinnati.
No, Big Ben surveyed the field before the ball was snapped and saw that there was a blitz coming from that spot. And again, Rodgers, operating out of the slot, was alert for that hot pass.
Having a big day. Eli Rogers, 5 catches, 75 yards, and the lone Pittsburgh touchdown.
5-5 to Mike.
They bring the fullback onto the field, Roosevelt Nix, whose dad played for Cincinnati. Handoff, Bell, he's got a hole. Little tug of war there as Bell is whistled down at the 30-yard line. That's 4 yards. Vontaze Burfict again involved for the Bengals, and again some chatting. Ladarius Green is headed to the locker room. And a timeout called by Cincinnati.
Well, Vontaze Burfict has been all over the field today, sometimes playing within the rules, sometimes not. He got drilled by DeCastro, had to go into the locker room for evaluation. It's called for unnecessary roughness on Ben Roethlisberger there. I think he would prefer to play a game of football where there is no whistle.
We asked Marvin Lewis, would you talk to Burfict before this game, specifically about the Pittsburgh Steelers and his first meeting against them since the infamous ending in the wild card game? And Marvin said no. He's been dealing with this chatter all year. There's no reason to speak with him about this specifically. It's no different than any other week.
And up to today's game, he only committed 1 penalty.
2:13 left. Steelers are trying to slam the door shut on the Cincinnati Bengals.
And to the Steelers' credit, they have not retaliated today against Burfict or any of the Bengals.
Chris Hubbard is the 6th offensive lineman, versatile player for Pittsburgh. Ladarius Green just went to the locker room after taking the big shot from Iloka. 2 tight ends, James and Johnson. James goes in motion. Fake it. Roethlisberger floats it. Bell with the catch. Bell goes down along the sideline and did not go out of bounds.
Yeah, he had a choice there to try to get the first down or stay in bounds and keep the clock rolling. It's really a good catch, too, after the play fake to Bell. He locates that ball, but now he knows if he goes out of bounds, he stops the clock. This forces Cincinnati to use their second timeout here in the second half.
So the Bengals have one timeout remaining. They've got the 2-minute warning as well. And Pittsburgh's got the 24-20 lead and a 2nd and 1 after the catch and run by Bell. So 91 yards on the ground, 58 yards receiving today for Bell. And here comes Roethlisberger into the Pittsburgh huddle. Marvin Lewis's team 5-7-1. Playoffs each of the last 5 years. Only New England and Green Bay have longer streaks. Each have gone to the playoffs 7 straight years. Last playoff win, though, for the Bengals, have to go back to January of 1991. They cannot let Pittsburgh get a first down here. You just look at the time remaining in the timeouts. Bell, stutter step, kicks his way, and it's enough. Inside the 20. First down for the Steelers. 2-minute warning in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh up 24-20, trying to seal it. No matter what happens here, Cincinnati has been eliminated from playoff contention. That's because Baltimore beat Philadelphia 27-26. So the Ravens get their 8th win of the season. Steelers trying to remain a game in front with a showdown coming up on Christmas Day in Pittsburgh. First down inside the 20, handoff to Bell. Spin move, and he is devoured by Domata Peko. Bengals have one timeout left, and they have used it with 1:51 to play. So if Pittsburgh just runs the football the rest of the way here and kicks a field goal, Cincinnati would be looking at about 20 seconds or so of getting the football back. Coming up next, race to the playoffs continue. Tom Brady and the Patriots square off with Von Miller and the Broncos, or the Raiders face the Chargers right here on the NFL on CBS.
And if the Steelers were to kick another field goal, Boswell has already made 6 today. We'll get a chance for a record-tying 7th.
No, that would be a record for Pittsburgh individually. The NFL record is 8. Rob Baronis.
5-8.
This is a 2nd and 11 for the Steelers. Bell with Nix. Nix releases out of the backfield. Roethlisberger, you're going to throw it? Roethlisberger looking for it all. Antonio Brown got his hands on it. And a flag thrown at the 4. He was held.
He's held by Dre Kirkpatrick. 3rd time that Kirkpatrick has been called for defensive holding.
Pass interference. Defense number 27. Flat foul. Automatic first down.
And that's it. Cincinnati cannot stop the clock with 1:45 to play. Desperation mode for Kirkpatrick. He grabbed on to Brown. And the Steelers will have it 1st and goal inside the 5. The Bengals will drop to 5-8-1 on the season. Mike Tomlin's team has come from behind. Steelers just have to take 3 knees here. Bengals are out of timeouts. .145 left on the clock.
Had been a total meltdown by the Bengals in the second half. They have more penalty yardage than they have offensive yardage in the second half.
Victory formation for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger takes a knee. Longtime rivals. It's been heated. And Mike Tomlin is in celebration mode along that Steelers sideline. The Steelers come back into Paul Brown Stadium and get another win.
They trailed 20-9 after the end of the first half, shut out the Bengals in the second half and take advantage of Bengal miscues to come all the way back and beat the Bengals.
Houston and Jacksonville will have bonus coverage for you. A tight one in Texas. That's coming up, the NFL on CBS. One more knee for Roethlisberger, and this one is over. The Steelers have now won 7 of their last 8 games in the jungle. Career day for Boswell. He did his part to keep the Steelers in it. The Pittsburgh Steelers maintain a 1-game lead in the AFC North. The Steelers rally to knock off the Bengals 24-20. Pittsburgh is 9-5. Baltimore is 8-6. The Bengals have been eliminated, now 5-8-1 on the season. It'll be the Steelers and the Ravens Christmas Day in a big one. Dalton and Roethlisberger share a moment. It's over in Cincinnati. 24-20. Steelers get it done. Let's go to JB.